All right. Biggest takeaways from college football spring games across the country. Shout out to the schools that did it this year because some of them did a really good job of.
We got a big weekend this weekend.
We do have a big weekend this weekend.
And this weekend and next weekend are most of the games.
Most of them. I did see South Carolina had a spring game. Hey, I don't want to be that guy. But South Carolina might want to look at the women's basketball coach at wide receiver if she's got any college eligibility left. I don't know if you saw that.
I did see that. That was Dawn Staley is just a spectacular human being in sports. Yep. Like 100% one of the most legendary figures in sports. And I have to say figures because not only is she a national championship head coach, she's also a national championship player, 3-time Olympic gold medalist, and also caught a touchdown at the South Carolina spring football game this year.
She did that in the same 7-day stretch that she almost got in a fight with Gino Auriemma.
Yeah,
I was like,
what was that about, by the way? That was...
Dude, and I'm not going to defend him. I am a Gino guy. I love old school hard coaches, and he's one of them. But somebody was like, "What do you?" I go, "Here's what it is. He's a New York Italian. That's what that was." He was mad. He thought he was. He was mad for the reason that he was mad for the wrong reason. He took it out on the wrong person. He felt pretty stupid. But as far as spring games go. Some of the things, not only first impressions, but things that I'm looking forward to. I think the spring games that everybody is going to be tuned into. First off the top, I think LSU. Everyone is going to probably, want to see what happens there. You're not going to see a whole lot out of Sam Leavitt. And if you're tuning into LSU spring game to watch Sam Leavitt throw, you got 3 years of Arizona State tape you could watch.
Just not the last half of last year because he was hurt the whole time.
Yeah. Miami for sure, I think could be really a fun one. Even though Duke, so the fact that Duke won the ACC last year just boggles my mind.
They got to figure out who's going to win that.
Figure out how to seed your conference some way where you get a game that makes sense.
Yeah.
Kirk Cignetti. Obviously, I'm not a Cignetti fan. I will give him his props in his lead up to spring game, going to bat for his quarterback. I'm a Sonny Dykes guy. I love Sonny Dykes at TCU. Sonny, for the sake of your football program and future recruits, do not get on national television and talk bad about the quarterback that just left. It is not a good look.
The best quarterback they've seen since Trayvon Boykin?
Yeah. He was like, "Oh, we gave up a lot of interceptions." Well, Josh gave up a lot of interceptions. I was like, "Bro, you didn't." People would have drawn the conclusion without you saying it.
We blaming 21-year-olds on turnover. That's crazy. I don't think I saw that soundbite.
And Cignetti went to bat for his quarterback, which is a good look. That gets a lot of respect, and I'll be excited to see what they're doing. As far as the SEC goes, I think the spring game that most people are going to be interested in watching. That again, I don't think spring games matter a whole lot, but once that spring game kicks off in Tuscaloosa, I think Kellen DeBoer's on the clock.
100%.
This may be your last year in Tuscaloosa.
Is at 2 p.m. on this Saturday.
Yep. They were ranked 125th in rushing last year.
That's just
which is not Alabama.
No, that if you say Alabama and that stat in the same sentence, people are going to look at you like, "What are you talking about?"
Did everyone get hurt? What
did
happened?
they just not run the football?
And that's kind of what it felt like last year. It felt like they never just could get it started.
Yeah, it was. It was the Ty Simpson show for sure.
And I have, I root for a school, and so do you, that have had stretches where the run game was legendary, And then you'd have like a couple year period where you go, what is going on?
They just
like,
can't find the guy. Yeah.
And I think that's, what it is. And I think for Alabama, you once we started having to pay players, you couldn't call Mark Henry and go, I need you to take a trip and go talk to a kid. Like, that may not mean a whole lot. Or not Mark Henry, Derrick Henry, Mark Henry.
Mark Henry's the wrestler, right? I was like, wait a second. What's he doing?
His kids are on the wrestling and football team at Oklahoma. That's why his name's on my head. But you can't just call out Derrick Henry and go, I need you to go see a kid in Louisiana or Florida and talk to him about playing running back. It's a different era. And he, DeBoer runs a different style of offense.
Yeah, and I think that's part of what we as college football fans need to become accustomed to is this is not Nick Saban's Alabama. And I think that it's time that we accept it. I don't think Alabama fans are going to want to accept it, but I think like nationally, college football fans just need to come to terms with the fact that like you don't need to talk about Alabama like they're the big bad boogeyman anymore because they're not. It's not Nick Saban's Alabama. The whole premise, and I feel like I have beat a dead horse with this talking point on this show for the last year. The SEC is viewed the way it is because of Nick Saban. Alabama is viewed the way that it is because of Nick Saban. Nick Saban is no longer there. It is a completely different era, and I think people are going to need to come to terms with that. And just, I think Kalen DeBoer needs to be given a little bit of grace too, because like, how are you supposed to be the guy that follows up Nick Saban?
It's the worst job in the history of college football.
Like it's impossible. It's an impossible job. I think Kalen DeBoer has done a really good job of it so far outside of that week one, whatever happened last year. I don't think that that's going to happen this year. I do think Alabama's going to be much more ready to go this year, but they got a lot of questions. I think they're going to have they're going to have a new quarterback. They obviously need to figure out their run game. I think their defense, they gave up 35 points to Indiana in the first half. Yeah, I know Indiana had a really good offense this year, but come on, dude. Ohio State held them to 10 points in the Big Ten championship game. So it's not the same Alabama, and I think we need to become more accustomed to that. But I do think that you're right, though. I think Alabama, they wanted his head on a stake after week one this last year. So yeah, that clock, as soon as that ball is kicked at 2:00 on Eastern time on Saturday, April 11th, this Saturday, his clock is ticking.
And and it's sad. Being as the guy on the show that roots for a team in the SEC, and I'll say this to any SEC fan, but specifically Alabama fans, the SEC is going into an era that may be the best from a end-to-end conference, the most parity and most fun that you will have on a consistent basis on Saturday. Because you have finally a conference where you can make a case every Saturday that any team can beat anybody on any given day. And that hasn't always been the case in that conference.
Yeah.
And if you told me, hey, I think LSU could line up and beat Georgia, I don't think that's crazy. If you said, hey, Ole Miss, it could line up and beat Texas, I'm not telling you you're nuts. And, it's not fun. It's fun for the team at the top, like in Alabama, when you are ruling a conference like that, and I know what that feels like.
Yeah.
Like, and so do you. It's fun as the fan of those teams, but as a conference, when you look at it and then the national narrative becomes, oh, your conference is top heavy, then you realize for the good of my team, they need to be able to line up every Saturday and have to play somebody that could beat them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because you need to be battle tested going into the playoff. Oklahoma, the reason they lost in the college football playoff for however many years straight in a row is because they did not have enough competition in the Big 12. And so you didn't have to adapt the way you played. You didn't have to adapt any of your coaching. You didn't have to adapt to anything. And you would get in and play a Big Ten or an SEC team and you get blown out.
Yeah. especially with the
I'm
size and
excited.
speed that is in the Big Ten and Big Ten and the SEC.
Yeah,
Because it's not just
I
like
mean,
the Big 12 has always been fast. Like that's kind of
skill positions. It's
yeah, that was always the
unbelievable.
Big 12's thing. Like that's why they would have 60-point games. But the SEC and the Big Ten also have that kind of speed, but that speed is also about 30 pounds heavier.
Yeah, and they might have 3 guys
Yeah.
at the same position. So, it turns into a war of attrition. Other things that people are watching is Ohio State recycling on defense. I saw somebody, and I can't remember if it's Plank or somebody that ranked Ohio State at 6 in the preseason poll, and his exact reasoning was the questions on defense.
It's Matt Patricia.
I listen. Matt Patricia put a bunch of smoke and mirrors together for that defense for the first 5 games. Like, you didn't know where the holes were. And then even when people figured out, hey, there might be some holes, it was so late into the year that the other skill positions on defense were better
Yeah.
than they were weeks 1 through 5. So he can figure it out, and the offense will be dramatically better.
Much better.
I don't know how this is so hard for like college football guys in the media to understand. They're like, well, the defense might take a step back. And I'm like, but if the offense takes 2 steps forward, don't those 2 things like
no, they would still be a step further than where they were last year if that's the case.
I'm like, I don't understand. Well, they may give up 21. Yeah, but if they score 38,
yeah,
I don't care.
Yeah, I think as the Ohio State guy, I think this season is going to be more. Last year felt like an aberration. It was like, this is not the norm at Ohio State. Ohio State doesn't play slow, grind the clock out offense. They don't play shut down defense. That's not Ohio State's thing. Ohio State typically has a really good defense and a phenomenal offense. It was the complete opposite last year. It was a really good offense and just an otherworldly, like historically great defense last year. And I think, I think they gave up 10 a game, something like that.
Yeah.
If they give up 17 a game this year and their offense is, still scoring the same amount of points that they scored last season, they'll still be fine. But like you said, I really do think that offense is going to be otherworldly this next season. Julian Sain's going to be able to open it wide up, like just floor it basically at the quarterback position. He's got a brand new shiny toy that's 6'7", 230 pounds as a true freshman. So, and by the way, Jeremiah Smith is still on the Ohio State college football roster. So I think they'll be just fine. Yeah. 6 is weird. That's fine with me.
Hey, as a guy that has spent more years than I can count being preseason number 1, the first couple of years we were like preseason, like just top 15. I was like, thank God.
Yeah.
I'm so tired of preseason number 1. My webcam literally just shut off, didn't it?
Yeah. It's just a black screen here.
Oh, that's fun.
There we go.
It just went to sleep. That's fun. All right. Last thing on spring games. The other coach who I think is on the clock once that ball snaps for their spring game is Steve Sarkisian down at Texas.
100%.
Yep. You can't keep giving this guy the best rosters that Texas has had since the Colt McCoy years and not result in something. Whether it's got to be either an SEC championship or you got to make it to the college football playoff. Like you just have to, it has to result in something, and it can't result in, well, if the committee would have been, we can't, that's not going to work.
Yeah.
Because you're paying him a crap ton of money. And that roster is expensive. Let's see what they added, pass rusher Raleek Brown from, I can't remember where he's. Cam Coleman. That's the name I was saying. The number 1 wide receiver in the transfer portal. They added a tailback. So they've got they've got everything they need to do something. Now, if Arch comes out first week of the season and sets the world on fire, it'll take an act of God for them not to rank Texas at number 1 for the first half of the season.
Well, week 2 they have to play Ohio State, so we're going to learn a lot about both of those teams week 2 in Austin, Texas, and that game's going to be buku bonkers, just like it was last year. But I think that game is going to be one of those things where it's going to be Ryan Day has Steve Sarkisian's number. He beat Texas twice in the same calendar year last year. That's going to be one of the storylines. The other one's going to be Arch Manning needs to get his get back. Arch Manning needs to have a year that everybody's been waiting for him to have for the last 3 years. It's time. I mean, he started to really come alive the second half of the season last season. And for everybody in the comments that has a lot to say about how we feel about Arch Manning, we know. We watched him every single week. We talk about him every single week. We know. We watched him. The issue is, leading up to the beginning of last season, we were being told by so many people in all corners of college football media that he was the best quarterback that we've seen since Timothy Tebow in college football. And then he comes out and just doesn't look good for the first 6 games of the year. I mean, granted, he had a game or two here or there where he played really well the first half of the season. But overall, Arch had an underwhelming season compared to how he was being talked about beginning of that year. And again, he's been on that roster. This is going to be his 4th year. Everybody wants to say that this is his 2nd year as a starter. Yes, I understand that. He started 3 games 2 years ago when Quinn Ewers went down with an injury. He played meaningful snaps in the college football playoff semifinal against the Ohio State University. I don't want to hear any more of the conversation about, well, he just needs more time. It's his senior year. We've been talking about this kid like he's the best draft prospect at quarterback since freaking John Elway. And everybody, and we're sitting here waiting for him to have a career game, a game that's like, oh, yep, Arch Manning is the best quarterback in the country. I fully believe it. That just hasn't happened yet. And I don't know that it's going to happen, but if it's going to happen, this is going to be the year for it to happen. And it has to happen if Steve Sarkisian wants to have a job in 2027.
Yeah, I mean, I look at Arch the same way I look at Bronny James. Take the name off of the back of their jersey, replace it with Smith, and they're not in the position they're in. They're just not.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not saying Arch couldn't be that guy, but he would not. They would have moved on from him by this point. People are like, oh, there's a difference between practice and game. Well, they didn't see enough in practice to be confident in it that talked to Quinn Ewers, or Quinn Ewers suddenly decided he wanted to come back one more year. If this kid was setting the world on fire, Quinn Ewers is not coming back for another year at Texas.
Yeah.
So there was something they were seeing in scrimmages and practice where they were going, he's not there. He does not have it.
Yeah. But again, we say all this stuff about Arch. I just have a feeling. I've been thinking about it for like a couple weeks now. I have a feeling that he's going to be fantastic this season. And
yeah, I hope so.
I feel like Texas is still going to find a way to screw it up, but I do think that Arch is going to have a fantastic season. I just need to see it.
Agreed. That's the thing. I just want someone to tell me. I want people to show me instead of tell me. I'm so tired of people. Well, he did this, and we've had fans giving us numbers, and I'm like, yeah, you're giving us numbers, and 70% of those yards were against teams that were horrible.
Yeah, UTSA or UTEP or whoever it is.
Like, come on,
San Jose State. He looked like he. That was we
look
were
like dog crap for the first half of that game,
dude. Yeah, me and Steve were talking in our chat. Our text thread was like, "What is Arch? Does not look good." It was San Jose State.